I stood outside my daughter's $1 million brownstone in the rain, my arthritic fingers wrapped around a grocery bag filled with homemade soup, when I heard her voice through the cracked window. She was laughing, actually laughing, as she told someone on speakerphone that I was dead weight she needed to cut loose. The same daughter I'd worked 3 jobs to put through medical school. The same girl whose hand I'd held through every nightmare, every heartbreak. I knocked on that mahogany door sheet imported from Italy and watched through the frosted glass as her silhouette approached. She opened it just wide enough to block the entrance with her body. Her eyes, my eyes, the same hazel I'd passed down to her, looked at me like I was a stranger begging for spare change. Then she said 5 words that would haunt me until my last breath. "Mom, I need you gone." And before I could ask what she meant, before I could even set down that stupid bag of soup, she closed the door. Not slammed it. Closed it. Quietly. Deliberately. Like she'd been practicing that moment. The lock clicked with a finality that echoed in my chest. I'd spent 68 years on this earth, survived an abusive marriage, buried my parents alone, raised 2 children in a cockroach-infested studio apartment, and nothing had ever made me feel as small as standing on those marble steps while my daughter's porch light automatically shut off, leaving me in complete darkness. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have possibly understood as I walked away with that soup getting cold in my trembling hands, was that this wasn't the worst betrayal. The real horror was waiting in an envelope that would arrive at my subsidized apartment exactly 3 days later. An envelope that would reveal my daughter hadn't just abandoned me. She'd been systematically destroying me for years. And the reason why would shatter everything I thought I knew about the child I'd sacrificed everything to raise. 6 months before that door closed in my face, my life had actually felt manageable for the first time in decades. I lived in a rent-controlled studio in Queens, the kind of place where the radiator clanked all night and my neighbors' arguments became white noise I'd learned to sleep through. My monthly Social Security check of $1,100 stretched just far enough if I ate instant noodles 4 nights a week and only turned the heat on when temperatures dropped below freezing. It wasn't comfortable, but it was mine. After 30 years of working as a home health aide, wiping strangers' mouths, changing adult diapers, listening to dying people's regrets, I'd earned this small corner of independence. My daughter Emma had become everything I dreamed she could be. A plastic surgeon with a thriving practice in Manhattan, married to a corporate lawyer named Derek, living in that Brooklyn Heights brownstone worth more than I'd earn in 10 lifetimes. My son Marcus had moved to Seattle after college and called maybe twice a year, but Emma had been my success story. Proof that my sacrifices meant something. She visited me once a month, always on Sundays, always bringing expensive takeout I'd insist was too much. She'd sit on my worn couch and tell me about her patients, about the charity gala she was planning, about how blessed she felt. "Mom, I've been thinking," she said during one of those visits in early March. She was picking at a $20 salad while I ate my free breadsticks. "Derek and I want to set up a trust fund for you. Something to make sure you're taken care of." My chest had tightened with gratitude, so intense it hurt. "Emma, sweetheart, you don't need to. We already did it," she interrupted, pulling out official-looking papers from her designer bag. "You just need to sign here. It's $5,000 a month, guaranteed. You can finally stop worrying about money." I cried. Actually sobbed while signing those documents, my arthritic hands barely able to hold the pen straight. Emma had hugged me, quick and awkward, and promised everything would be better now. The first check arrived 2 weeks later. $5,000. I paid 3 months of rent in advance. I bought actual vegetables instead of canned ones. For 3 months, I felt like maybe the universe had finally decided to stop punishing me. Then the medical bills started arriving. The first envelope came on a Tuesday in June. I assumed it was junk mail because I hadn't been to a doctor in 18 months. Couldn't afford the copays. But when I opened it, I found a bill for $4,000 from Mount Sinai Hospital for emergency psychiatric treatment. According to their records, I'd been admitted for a 72-hour hold after a suicide attempt. I called the hospital immediately, my hands shaking so badly I could barely dial. The billing department confirmed the dates, the treatment, everything. They had my social security number, my insurance information. Someone claiming to be me had been admitted, evaluated, and prescribed thousands of dollars worth of medications I'd never heard of. There's been a mistake, I kept repeating. That wasn't me. I was never there. The woman on the phone had that practiced patience of someone who'd heard every excuse. Ma'am, we have your signature on the intake forms. If you're disputing these charges, you'll need to file a formal complaint with documentation. I hung up and immediately called Emma. She didn't answer. I called again.
And again.
Finally, at 9 p.m., she texted. Mom, I'm with a patient. Is this an emergency? I typed back. Someone stole my identity. Hospital bills. Can you help? She responded 3 hours later. That sounds stressful. Try the credit bureaus. Talk soon, XO. The second bill arrived 4 days later. Then a third. Then a fourth. All different hospitals, all claiming I'd received psychiatric treatment, drug rehabilitation, even cosmetic procedures I'd never received. Within 2 weeks, I had $17,000 in medical debt for services I'd never gotten. I called Emma 17 times in one day. She finally answered on the 18th call, her voice tight with irritation. Mom, what is so urgent that you're calling me during work hours? Someone's stealing my identity. I said, the words tumbling out. The medical bills, the trust fund issues. Emma, I think someone's trying to destroy my life, and I don't know what to. Have you been taking your medications? She interrupted. The question hit me like cold water. What medications? Emma, I don't take any. The ones Dr. Rosen prescribed. The antipsychotics. The mood stabilizers. Her voice had shifted into that careful, clinical tone. Mom, we talked about this. Your paranoid delusions, the identity confusion. I've never seen a Dr. Rosen. Emma, what are you talking about? There was a long pause. Then she said very softly, Mom, you've been seeing Dr. Rosen for 6 months. I set up the appointments myself. You called me last week sobbing because you thought the government was spying on you through your smoke detector. My entire body went cold. That never happened. Emma, I swear to God. We'll talk about this later. I have surgery in 10 minutes. She hung up. I sat on my floor for 2 hours, trying to understand if I was losing my mind. Had I forgotten doctor's appointments? Was there something wrong with my memory? I was 68, maybe early dementia was setting in. But then I found the photos. I'd been going through my junk drawer looking for old bank statements when I discovered a manila envelope I'd never seen before, hidden under instruction manuals and expired coupons. Inside were dozens of photographs, pictures of me, except they weren't me. The woman looked like me, same build, same general features, but her face was subtly wrong. Someone had photoshopped my face onto another person's body. And in every photo, this fake version of me was doing things I'd never done. Standing outside hospitals, sitting in psychiatrists' offices, picking up prescriptions at pharmacies. There were even pictures of me at police stations, apparently filing reports about delusions and paranoia. Someone had created an entire false history of my life. A history of mental illness, instability, and incompetence. And every single photo had been taken within walking distance of Emma's brownstone. That's when I knew. My daughter wasn't just abandoning me. She was erasing me, rewriting my reality, making me disappear. But I still didn't understand why, or how deep this betrayal actually went. 3 days later, my landlord, Mr. Patel, knocked on my door, his face creased with something between pity and discomfort. Mrs. Chun, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. I need to discuss your lease renewal. My stomach dropped. Is something wrong? I paid this month. I paid 3 months ahead. I received a call from your daughter. She explained about your declining mental state. She's concerned about your safety living alone. She mentioned incidents, wandering the neighborhood at night, leaving the stove on, confronting neighbors about conspiracies that don't exist. Each accusation hit me like a physical blow. Mr. Patel, none of that is true. I've never. She sent me medical documentation from multiple doctors. Mrs. Chun, I have other tenants to think about. There's a very nice assisted living facility she mentioned, one that specializes in memory care. She's already paid the first month's deposit. The world tilted sideways. She what? I'm not renewing your lease. You have 60 days to vacate. I'm sorry, but this is for your own good. Emma wasn't just destroying my identity. She was systematically dismantling my entire life. Every support structure, every bit of independence, every shred of credibility. And she'd done it so methodically that anyone I tried to tell would think I was exactly as unstable as she claimed. I went to the police with my evidence. The officer barely looked up. Family financial disputes aren't criminal matters unless you can prove intent to defraud. You need a lawyer, not a police report. I couldn't afford a lawyer. Emma knew that. I tried calling Marcus in Seattle, but his number went straight to voicemail. I left a rambling message, knowing I sounded exactly as crazy as Emma was claiming I was. He never called back. For a week, I barely ate. I researched everything I could about identity theft, conservatorship, and elder abuse. I discovered that Emma had been carefully building a legal case to have me declared mentally incompetent, which would allow her to take control of my finances, my medical decisions, my entire life.
But I still didn't understand why.
Then I found the life insurance policy. It was hidden in a stack of documents I'd signed when Emma first set up the trust fund. I'd been so overwhelmed by gratitude that I'd signed everything without reading carefully. Buried in the paperwork was a $2 million life insurance policy, with me as the insured, and Emma as the sole beneficiary. The premiums were astronomical, $15,000 annually. Nobody in their right mind would pay that much to insure a 68-year-old woman with no significant assets unless they expected a return on that investment very soon. Emma wasn't just abandoning me. She was planning to kill me. And she'd been planning it for months. 3 days later, I worked up the courage to go to Emma's brownstone, not to confront her, but to find evidence. I waited until I knew she'd be at her practice. I still had the key she'd given me a year ago. I'd never used it, but now I let myself in like a thief, my heart pounding. I went straight to her home office. The key was hidden above the doorframe. Inside, I found file cabinets full of financial records. And that's when I discovered the truth that changed everything. Emma's practice was failing. Spectacularly. She'd been sued for malpractice 3 times in the past 2 years. Lost 2 of those cases. Her malpractice insurance premiums had skyrocketed. She'd taken out massive loans to keep the practice afloat, using the brownstone as collateral. She was drowning in debt, nearly $3 million, and facing potential bankruptcy within 6 months. In a locked drawer, I had to break it open with a letter opener. I found emails discussing how to quietly declare me mentally incompetent without triggering adult protective services. Documents showing they'd already forged my signature on forms making Emma my power of attorney. And most damning, detailed notes about facilities with the highest mortality rates for patients with cognitive decline. Emma had literally researched which assisted living facilities would kill me fastest while maintaining plausible deniability. She'd made spreadsheets, compared statistics, circled her top 3 choices with notes like average patient survival, 8 months, and minimal family visitation policies. My daughter had plotted my murder with the same clinical precision she used to plan her cosmetic surgery procedures. I photographed everything with my ancient flip phone, my hands trembling so badly that half the pictures came out blurry. I was shoving documents back when I heard the front door open. Emma was home early. I froze. I heard her heels clicking across the hardwood floor. Heard her set down her bag. I climbed out the office window and dropped 6 feet onto landscaping. I limped away, my ankle throbbing, my phone clutched in my hand like a weapon. Now that I knew her secret, now that I had evidence, I'd become much more than an inconvenient mother. I'd become a direct threat to her freedom, her career, her entire future. And she'd already proven exactly how she dealt with threats. She eliminated them that I didn't go back to my apartment. Instead, I spent 2 nights in a women's shelter in the Bronx. Nobody asks questions in a shelter.
We were all just trying to survive until tomorrow.
During the day, I went to legal aid. An overworked attorney reviewed my evidence, with exhausted eyes. She confirmed what I'd suspected. Emma's plan was airtight from a legal perspective. The fake medical history, the documented mental incompetence, they'd all hold up in court. And my photographs, taken illegally by breaking into her home, were inadmissible as evidence. "You need a criminal attorney," she said bluntly. "But I'm going to be honest. This is an uphill battle. Your daughter is a respected doctor with resources. You're an elderly woman with documented mental health issues. Any lawyer she hires will destroy your credibility in court. So, I just let her kill me?"
No.
She leaned forward, something fierce flickering in her tired expression. "You survive. You document everything. And you make noise, loud, public noise that makes it impossible for her to act without scrutiny." That night, I created a Facebook account for the first time in my life. I wrote out everything, the fake medical records, the life insurance policy, the research about mortality rates, all of it. I posted it publicly with every blurry photograph I'd managed to take. I tagged Emma. I tagged Derek. I tagged Emma's medical practice. Then I sent the link to every local news station, every elder advocacy group, every true crime podcast I could find online. I expected nothing. Maybe a few sympathetic comments from strangers. What I got was a firestorm. Within 24 hours, my post had been shared 8,000 times. A local reporter contacted me wanting to do a story. 2 elder advocacy lawyers reached out offering pro bono representation. Someone even started a GoFundMe that raised $11,000 in 3 days. The story went viral. Successful doctor allegedly plots mother's murder for insurance money. Emma's practice issued a statement calling my accusations the tragic delusions of a woman suffering from severe mental decline. Derek's law firm announced he was taking a leave of absence. But the damage was done. Medical boards started investigating. The police finally took my claims seriously. Insurance fraud investigators got involved. I didn't feel victorious. I felt hollowed out. Because even as the world rallied around me, I couldn't stop thinking about the little girl I'd read bedtime stories to. The teenager who'd cried on my shoulder over her first breakup. The young woman who'd hugged me at her medical school graduation and whispered, "I couldn't have done this without you, Mom." When had she stopped seeing me as her mother and started seeing me as a problem to eliminate? The answer came during the criminal investigation 2 months later. Detectives discovered that Emma's marriage was falling apart. Derek was having an affair with a paralegal from his firm. He'd threatened divorce, which would destroy Emma financially given their prenup and her existing debt. But if Emma could pay off her debts and appear financially stable, she could negotiate a better settlement. And there was one more thing. My life insurance policy didn't just pay out on my death. It paid out double if my death was accidental or due to suicide, both of which would be easily explainable for a woman with documented severe mental illness in an assisted living facility. Emma hadn't just wanted me dead. She'd wanted me dead in a specific, profitable way. And she'd spent months constructing the perfect scenario where my death would seem like a tragic, but inevitable consequence of my deteriorating mental health. My daughter had commodified my death with the same efficiency she used to sell cosmetic procedures to insecure women. The trial took 11 months. Emma was eventually convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. Not attempted murder. They couldn't prove beyond reasonable doubt that she intended to actively kill me versus simply hoping I'd die conveniently. She received 7 years in prison. Derek was disbarred and faced separate fraud charges. I got to read a victim impact statement in court. I'd written and rewritten it 100 times, trying to capture the magnitude of betrayal. But when I stood at that podium, looking at Emma in her orange jumpsuit, her face carefully blank, I said only one thing. I would have given you my life insurance money if you'd just asked. I would have given you everything. All you had to do was let me remain your mother. Emma didn't react, didn't cry, didn't even blink. And in that moment, I finally understood. The daughter I'd loved no longer existed. Maybe she never had. The GoFundMe money allowed me to move to a small apartment in New Jersey. I volunteer at a senior center now, helping other elderly people spot signs of exploitation and abuse. I've reconnected with Marcus. He'd actually been kept deliberately out of the loop by Emma, fed lies to keep him from interfering. We talk every week now. It's not perfect, but it's something. Sometimes I dream about that day in the rain, standing outside Emma's brownstone with a bag of soup getting cold in my hands. In the dreams, when Emma opens the door, she's 7 years old again, missing her 2 front teeth, asking me to check under her bed for monsters. And I want to warn that little girl about the monster she'll become. But I can never speak. I can only watch as she slams the door in my face over and over. I'm 70 now.
My hands shake more than they used to.
My hip aches when it rains. But I wake up every morning grateful.
Grateful to be alive.
Grateful to have escaped. Grateful that I found the strength to fight back before it was too late. Though sometimes, late at night when sleep won't come, I wonder, if I'd never found that life insurance policy, if I'd never broken into her office, if I'd just shown up at that assisted living facility like an obedient mother should, how long would Emma have let me live?
Days? Weeks?
Would she have visited me there, held my hand while feeding me pills that weren't what she claimed, smiled as she slowly poisoned the woman who'd given her life? I'll never know. And maybe that's the kindest mercy the universe could give me. The last time I saw Emma was at her sentencing. As they led her away in handcuffs, she turned and looked at me one final time. And for just a second, so brief I might have imagined it, I saw something flicker across her face. Not remorse, not love, but surprise.
Pure genuine surprise.
As if she couldn't quite believe that the weak, desperate old woman she tried to erase had somehow found the strength to erase her instead. If you're listening to this and you have elderly parents, call them. Visit them. Make sure they know they matter. And if you're an elderly parent feeling isolated, exploited, or dismissed by your children, please know this. You deserve better. Your life has value beyond what you can provide for others. And if you're in danger, if someone is trying to take advantage of your vulnerability, reach out.
Tell someone.
Make noise. Fight back. Survival isn't selfish. It's your right. Because I learned the hardest way possible that sometimes the most dangerous monster isn't hiding under the bed or lurking in dark alleys. Sometimes it's standing right in front of you, wearing the face you gave it, calling you mom, while signing the papers that will end your life. Some voices stay silent for years. But here, every story finds its sound. Like, subscribe, and stay with the silent parents.